Hey guys, Curious, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the fashion in Aikatsu Friends. I'll be going over the DCD outfits, and last time I did this it was a bit clunky, so I've broken it down. I'll start by going over the clothes. However, the two new rarities, the Friends Rare and the Best Friends Rare, will be saved for their own section in the video. I'll also be covering all the campaign chords in their own dedicated section. It's mostly just to help it flow a bit better. With that said, let's get right into it. So, Sugar Melody. We get 3 chords: Sweet Phrase, Little Charmant, and Light Blue Humming. Light Blue Humming isn't in the anime, and I'm assuming it's because it's not pink, so it may not have been fitting Aina. It's actually very plain, but there's enough accessories to show that something's going on. It's got layers and frills, but it's pretty plain, so let's move on. Next we have Little Charmant, and I can see why they chose this one to be the first chord she gets. It makes a pretty strong impression for what the brand's about. It's got a rich chocolate texture with yellow beads along the skirt patterns. There's also some random music notes, and I think the skirt's framed music notes remind me of antiques. I also like the sandals and the little frills at the ankles, with the beads that are found at the end of the sleeves as well. Finally, Sweet Phrase. Sweet Phrase is a beautiful little apron with cream underneath the skirt. With a bit more saturation in the pink, it could be a contender for the best chord of the season. It's got a girly touch with a softer color palette, and it really balances the sugar and the melody parts of the brand unlike any other chord. It's poofier than the rare chord, which is an improvement, and the creamy goodness really sets a high bar for all the other chords this season. Now on to Minato Mio. If Future and Girl and Dance Fusion had a baby, it would be Material Color, an angular, vivid brand with deep shades of blue. It debuted with 3 chords. We've got the smart, straight chord, doubt that. Honestly, I'm not really a huge fan of this one. It feels a bit tacky, especially with how bright the magenta is. It really does stand out, and not in a good way. I also think that despite being, probably neater in terms of geometry compared to the other patterns, the rectangles on her top don't really do anything for me. It just looks very clustered. The next chord is Mosaic Blue, and this one is actually really good. The aesthetic kind of gives her an older vibe, like a stylish housewife. Something about the skirt length, the sleeves, and even the colors chosen just make her look older than she actually is. For contrast, her PR gives me a stylish office mom vibe, which is something we'll see throughout the brand. I don't know. Great use of the space in the skirt for the triangle, and the small roses and jewels do just enough to offset the blues in this chord. I really do think it's an incredible design. Neo Combination is the premium rare, and I absolutely love it. All the cuts, layers, and fabrics just come together to make a masterpiece. Asymmetry is at its best in her top, which is held together by a jeweled brooch, but on one leg we've got a laced boot, and on the other, striped leggings. I really do think that the use of black at the borders of the outfit really do bring cohesion to the whole design. We can see them in her belts, at the base of her skirt, and even on her right shoe. It's a great use of color, and every fabric piece just cuts at the perfect place to make it look good. 10 out of 10. Now finally we have Milky Joker. Macaron a la mode is actually pretty nice. It reminds me a lot of a more mature Fool for a Dream, especially with the sleepy purple color and the nighttime elements. But that's not what the PR does. The PR mixes pastel colors with clowns and infants to form one of the worst PRs in the franchise, to be honest. I think the bright spots on the pale pink fabric is a really odd choice since it's not always visible. The poofy pants look goofy, and the flowers feel very tacked on. That entire section just seems like it could have been absent. Nothing really marries the various concepts that this chord is trying to execute, And I keep asking myself why there's diamonds on the midriff, and why there's stripes that are really pale. What does the red belt do? Nothing really works for me color-wise, and I don't think the design overall is helping. So part 2 gives us 2 new brands in Dancing Mirage and Classical Ange. So far we've still got no pop brand. Dancing Mirage is first, and it's kind of a combo of every sexy element we've seen so far. It's got butterflies and roses. The Dance Addiction chord will go first, and it's got a pretty cool checkered pattern with black stripes. Reminds me a lot of Spice chord. It's not in line with the rest of the brand, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it. After this, we've got the Butterfly Showgirl chord, and it has a skirt that kind of reminds me of fortune-telling curtains, mostly because of the golden jewelry and the way it drapes over her. The design is really pretty, and I think that with more colors it would be really great. Currently, the gold is kind of swallowed up in the purple, and the butterflies are everywhere, but with so much going on, especially with the patterns, it just doesn't stand out very much. Finally, we have the PR. One Night Mirage. Now when this one came out, there was a bit of controversy, mostly about how little the top covers and how skinny it is. It is showing a lot of skin, so I do understand the concern. I don't think the skirt length was helping this discussion either, but with that aside, I do like the roses and the colors used. Swing Rock struggles to use this color combo, purple, red, and gold. However, to be fair, I think Swing Rock used a lot of black too. I enjoy the stylish feel the entire outfit has. I think it's based on Takarazuka, but I'm not very sure. It looks amazing, and the golden jewelry really does give a great amount of detail to the red rosy jacket she's got on. Now on to Classical Ange. This is a brand that deserved so much better, and I always wish we got to see more of it, you know? Hopefully in a third season, which never happened, but alas. 3 chords, let's go. Daisy Light Green is a light green floral chord. It's got poofy sleeves, which are always a plus, and it gives an upper class vibe, especially with the shrug and the colors chosen. The entire top is really ornate with the lace, and the flower accessories do well to blend in with the colors, but the little hat on the top completes the look, and I really do appreciate the way the colors are all balanced. They're all very pale and soft, but nothing's really getting lost because the white acts as a clear demarcation of where everything ends, letting your eyes take in everything really easily. Next we've got Chandelier Gold, and this one is a bit of a downgrade in my eyes since there's only so much detail I can see from the cards. I will admit, I do appreciate what they've done with the skirt, the diamond patterns at the edge, and the little chandelier accessories do make the chord really nice to look at, and it's got colorful shoes, but with these shades of yellow, it takes a lot to really get what's going on. I think it would have looked great in CGI, or perhaps in a 2D illustration, where I can actually see where everything ends and begins. Finally, we've got the PR, the Bouquet de Fleurs chord. I don't speak French, that's probably wrong, but I'm gonna keep going. This is probably the best PR in the season. Everything about it is so perfectly balanced. Looking at the way the pink and white take up their own space, it's really hard to imagine how they came up with it, considering that none of the colors really fight. Everything takes up just as much space as it needs to. There's a soft pink and a darker one as seen on the 2 ribbons on her chest. The white lace covers the pink skirt, with more white fabric beneath it. Whoever designed this really understands layers since the eyes are led down really well by the lines. The pink ribbon and the white lace keep your eye kind of able to read it really quickly. Nothing is contrasting. The circular patterns make it really clear what's going on. It's kind of like the opposite of the angular design seen in Material Color. I appreciate the roses, and as this brand has been known to do, there's a little hat on top to complete the look. The abundance of beads is an appreciated detail, as it's not immediately noticed given that your eyes are drawn to the skirt, but I'd give this chord 13 out of 10. Now let's check up on our other brands. The Now let's check up on our other brands. They each get one more this part. Sugar Melody gets powder pink, and honestly, I'm not a fan. The candy doesn't fit, and it kind of looks like a marble candy reject. The gloves and bow are the only redeeming qualities. Graphical mode is much better in comparison, keeps the angular design, and throws in a unique paper pattern with red and black. Gives me race car vibes, and I love it. It would probably look really good with the dancing Mirage cord that we just saw. Here we get two new brands, Colorful Shake and Luna Witch. So let's start with a gothic brand. Luna Witch gets 3 cords, starting with Scarlet Crisis. It has a striking red color that reminds me of blood, and I love the purple underneath the skirt. It's pretty good. Midnight Indigo is up next, and it's got a large column of black in the middle, which is a bit boring because it does dominate the dress, but the zigzag patterns on the skirt and the silver details more than make up for that. I also love the ruffle along the bust, Personally, I'm not that creative when it comes to designing tops, so I always like to see these little details and take inspiration. The bow is really ornate, having multiple layers. I believe it's 4 bows and a gem in the middle. It's just a very good cord. The use of white to add more color is a great decision because it does break up the dark black and, the blue. So honestly, I'd say it's pretty decent. Finally, we've got the PR, the Nocturne Night cord. Now this is a different gothic cord compared to the ones that we're used to, and it has unique patterns for each part. There's diamonds on the sleeves and ornate silver lines on the skirt. The diamonds make a return on the shoes, as well as having these little crests at the top, right where it meets the white socks. I think that the way her bows look like scrolls is a very unique touch, especially given that the stage was a library at the very start. There's a lot of details, and the shades of blue chosen are very intentional. It's not perfect, but it's probably one of the better cords. So Colorful Shake is the second pop brand, and this one only gets 2 cords, which is quite a shame. It's full of vibrant colors and is very pop. White Retro Sport is up first, and I actually really like the unique colors they chose. It's nothing too bright, which really sets it apart. The white base with shapes on it gives the feeling of a blank canvas filled with fun shapes. It's a nice touch, and I wish the striped fabric featured a little more. I also appreciate what I'm assuming are denim shoes. The PR is the Shaken Party cord, and this one gives me such a vivid Kiss vibe. It's probably the layers of fabric around the waist. The use of magenta in this cord gives a bright focus on the chest, which is matched by the fabric underneath the skirt. There's a multicolored bow and a colorful jumper tied around the waist. The abundance of text on the clothing helps give the brand its own unique identity. With the 2 cords so far, it seems like this brand's whole thing is that it treats the clothes like a blank canvas for text or colorful shape, almost like it's paper with stuff printed on it. I know that sounds a bit vague, but you'll understand it more when we see the other cords coming up next. Sugar Melody gets Mint Foy. I like the shade of green used because it works well with a pink Sugar Melody tends to go for. It also reminds me a little bit of Christmas. It's really simple with a floral fabric, and the check pattern underneath the skirt is really pretty. Classical Ange gets Mermaid Blue, which is a casual girlish cord with gold sandals and white frills and string. The ruffled fabric is really pretty, especially with a gold lining and the pink on the bows, as well as the roses. It's pretty good. It also gives me a European vibe for some reason. If anyone knows what I'm referring to or why, you can let me know. Lastly, Dancing Mirage gets Japanesque Festa cord, and this is a really fun one. Micah deserved to wear this. The triple layer skirt is really vivid and detailed, especially with the shimmering fabric underneath and the pattern of the roses on the black and red parts. The red, purple, and gold is consistent throughout this entire brand, and each time it's applied in different ways, but they're always a success. I love that the earrings are fans, and the lace boots are cute too. Beautiful stripes along the crop top. This was a really solid part, so we'll go over the honorable mentions again. and we'll move on to part 4. So part 4, we only get one new brand, and that's Moon Maiden. Now, I don't really think we needed a third cool brand, and definitely not another gothic one. Anyway, this one gets 2 new chords. White Pitter-esque, I'm assuming that's how it's said, has these really white glamorous sleeves, and white leggings, I believe, though it's barely visible because, you know, they're so pale. I don't like the chunky black portions on the skirt, but the gold lining is really nice. I also like the white cape-like material around her skirt. The golden leaves are a nice touch too. She kind of just looks like a priestess to me, and I also appreciate the fancy wing accessory on her head. The second chord we get is the PR, and I'm really grateful that they chose to go with gold because this is the color that sets the brand apart from its sister brand, Luna Witch. The golden dress is really dazzling, especially the stars on the skirt and the sleeves. I like the stained glass pattern within the skirt, and in the middle of the bodice, there's pale fabric draped over, which is another thing I like, and there's a lot of unity in the chord with the moons and the stars, you know, spread evenly across the different parts. So let's see what the other brands get. Sugar Melody gets 2 chords while the rest get 1. The first chord Sugar Melody gets is Pastel Coral, which is a really cute round chord with a fun polka dot pattern. The patterns on the skirt are the best part. You know, the music scale, the hearts, and the peach fabric work so well together to make something amazing. I also like the bows and the detailed sleeves. So I had to re-record this portion, and my I guess you could call it anger at this chord has definitely simmered down. I was never really completely mad about it, but the more I looked at it, the more I just found things I didn't like. For one, it's very busy. You know, the skirt has got 3 layers. You've got, you know, the skirt's beautiful, but the pink lace frill is a little unnecessary, especially there's just going to be another peach layer underneath that, and that says nothing of like the gigantic bow that's on it, which is matched by a bow on the chest. And it makes it kind of feel redundant because it's like, why is it so huge? It is just going to match the one up there, you know, I don't think they needed 2. The top kind of looks like the Berry Parfait chord, but with way more detail. I like the winged sleeves, to be honest, and I do like the gloves, but I just think it's a really awkward, you know, chord. And given that canonically speaking, Ina designed this over the weekend, I think, it really shows, like, I can believe this is something that somebody would make very quickly. It's just not very good, in my opinion, you know? I would say like 5 out of 10, primarily because it just doesn't look right. There's too much going on, and it's not helped by the fact that, like, from this brand I expected something more. You know, this brand's themes are sugar and music, but here there's no trace of the sugar part of Sugar Melody. There's music on the bow because of the scales on the bow, but I don't really see how this is meant to fit in line with the brand's image. Overall, it takes the brand in a bizarre direction. It's a bit too messy, and I'm kind of tired of talking about it because at this point I've written the script, I've recorded and re-recorded it, which is why I just sound kind of fed up with this chord. It's just not the nicest thing. They could have done a lot better. I wish it was different, but it's not. Modern Autumn is actually a really unique design. The skirt's red, which I didn't expect, and the pelt is a little awkward, but the jacket is really selling me on this. It still fits the clothing that Material Color does, as the skirt resembles Mosaic Blue a lot. There's stripes along the skirt, and the jean and chains involved. There's, I know I just ranted about not fitting brand image, but I think this one still fits Material Color really well, primarily because of the types of clothing they chose. Colorful Shake gets Joyful Alphabet, and this is probably one of my favorite chords from this part. The loose blue clothing makes it seem summer-like, and I love the abundance of accessories, from the armbands to the earrings and the bow. The text on fabric thing is still pretty fun, and I like the colors they used on it, with blue and white sharing the design. I'd give it a 20 out of 20. Milky Joker gets Dreamy Candyland, and it's really good. Milky Joker always looks best with saturated colors, and I love the stripes here. You know, you've got the decorated bust, you've got the leggings, you've got the fun, frilly thing around her waist. It's really great to look at, and she looks like a walking candy shop, a good sign of what's to come for this brand and the direction it'll go later on. Lastly, we have Dancing Mirage, which gets the Beauty Spy cord. I love the striped V along the jacket and the shorts, but there's the awkward garter straps on the leg. It doesn't make sense, especially with boots. Regardless, beyond the stockings, it's a pretty good combo of Dancing Mirage never really misses with its colors, and there's a great use of gold accents to separate them. So having completed scripting and recording the video, I'm aware that it's 46 minutes long. While I am comfortable making longer vids, I do think it's best if I break this down into 2 unique uploads. So this is the end of part 1, which has covered the DCD from part 1 to 4, and the second part will be released soon, which will cover part 5, 6, as well as the campaigns and the friends chords. With that said, thank you for watching. I think that 21 minutes is pretty bite-sized. I'm unsure when I'll upload the second one, but you could let me know if you have any suggestions.